Hi. Hola.
Hi, here's Mr. Dozy.
This is Michael Bradley.
Hey, I'm Memphis.
Hey.
Hola. Hello.
I'm here with soccer.com.
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 And I'm talking with my friends soccer.com.
See you soon.
Hey guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the women's Nike Hypervenom Phantom 2 in the Spark Brilliance Olympic pack. Now included with the shoes inside the box is a string bag that's white in color with bright orange strings. They also include this little label right here that lets you know that the pattern printed on the sole plate and studs will wear off over time, but won't impact the performance of the shoe, something we'll talk about a little bit later in the video. And of course, you get the shoes themselves, which I have right here in this very good looking white, blue, and orange colorway. So in today's video, we are going to take a closer look at this shoe. Obviously, this is a women's variation of the Phantom 2, which essentially just means that the sizing is a little bit different, and that's about it. So I'm going to explain how all of that works in today's video. If you are a guy, you definitely can wear these depending on what shoe size that you wear. We're going to go over tech specs, performance, take a look at the weight of the shoe, as well as talk about how they fit and feel on feet. So if you are interested in learning more, please stick around and watch the entire video. If you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, there'll be a little pop-up on screen as well as a link in the description that'll take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $275 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, go check out the little pop-up and the first link in the description. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. So to start things off, let's talk about how the sizing works. Now, obviously this is a women's pair of shoes, but I'm a guy and I'm wearing them. How is that? That's basically because this is just like the men's version of the shoe. The construction, the materials, the shape, the fit is identical. The only thing that's different is one, the colorway, obviously, and two, the sizing. The way Nike's men's and women's sizing works is that the difference is 1.5 sizes. So I normally wear a men's size 9 US in the Hypervenom Phantom 2. So in order to wear the women's variation, I have to go up 1.5 sizes. So I go from a men's 9 US to a 10.5 US women's to have the equivalent fit. So this is a women's size 10.5 US that fits exactly like a men's 9 US. So again, for Nike at least, if you are trying to wear a women's colorway of a shoe, all you have to do is take your men's size and go up 1.5 sizes to have the equivalent fit. It's just that simple. Aside from that, everything else is the same. They're not actually women's fit. They're not narrower. The shape isn't any different. It's identical to the men's variation aside from the sizing. So as you guys can see, they fit and look just like the men's variation, given that this is the equivalent size that I need for the proper fit. The Phantom 2 in general, this does have the newer variation, is the newer variation with the original Nike skin upper. That is a little bit more flexible. It is kind of stiffer out of the box, but it does get a lot softer as you break them in. And they're just a lot more comfortable and a lot softer in general in comparison to the original variation of the Phantom 2. The collar and heel area, being that this is a mid-cut model, it does take some getting used to. It's recommended that you break these in a little bit more slowly than you normally would. Don't wear them straight into a game. Don't wear them straight into a free kick session. And as long as you take your time with the break-in process, you shouldn't have too many issues as far as discomfort is concerned. Width-wise, it is a tighter fitting shoe overall, and you're really not going to get much stretch out of it, given that you do have the flywire cables running through the majority of the upper. So as long as you don't have excessively wide feet and you don't mind a more snug fit in general, you shouldn't have too many issues with the width of this shoe. They will fit most people. And again, the sizing, just different from the men's. Go up 1.5 sizes to have the equivalent size. As far as the laces are concerned, on my left foot, you can see I have the stock blue laces that come with the shoes. And on my right foot, I have a pair of white reflective SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. You'll find a little pop-up on screen, as well as a link in the description that'll take you directly there. So again, if you're interested in the pair, be sure to go ahead and check it out. So like I mentioned at the start of the video already, there's nothing different about the shoe itself aside from the colorway and the sizing. The construction, the materials, the fit of the shoe, nothing has changed in comparison to the men's variation. It's absolutely identical. So this of course is the Phantom 2 in the version 2 variation, meaning that you get the Nike Skin upper that's more similar to what we got on the original Nike Hypervenom Phantom 1, as opposed to the original variation of the Phantom 2, which had a different Nike Skin upper that a lot of people didn't like quite as much, including myself. Now, I did make a video on the version 2 variation of the Hypervenom finish, which essentially is the same as the Phantom 2. The finish in the Phantom 2, they aren't necessarily one better than the other. It's just the Phantom 2 is mid-cut, the finish is low-cut. That's the major difference. It has nothing to do with performance, it's just more so how the shoe fits in the heel area. So if you guys want to see my playtest video on the version 2 variation of the finish, I'll leave a little pop-up on screen, and you can get a little bit more information as to how these shoes feel and perform if you haven't seen that video already. So with the upper, obviously it is the first generation Nike Skin, which is a mesh-based synthetic material that has this kind of honeycomb type texturing to it. That's what you actually see here. And then there's a Nike Skin covering on top, as well as a liner on the inside that is completely solid on this particular shoe, but you still maintain a good amount of softness and flexibility. It's a much more comfortable, much more flexible shoe in comparison to the original variation of the Phantom 2, but not quite as flimsy as what we got from the original Phantom 1. So it's a more responsive, more locked-in sensation that maintains a similar feel, but you do get an improved variation of that original Phantom while still maintaining the same feel, if that makes any sense. So the touch on the ball is on the thinner side, but because of that kind of textured mesh middle layer of the upper, it does have a slight cushion, kind of padded sensation to it that I really like, and is a particularly unique aspect of the current high-end Hypervenom model that I'm, again, a big fan of. People really received the original Phantom well, and you're kind of getting more of the same here with this new version of the Phantom 2, or the finish, depending on what your preference is. There is an ACC all conditions control finish on the upper as well, acting as your wet control element. You're gonna get that with all the Nike models that are high-end, of course. And then along with the liner as a structure element of the upper, you get flywire cables as well that run from the base of the sole directly into the lacing system on both sides of the shoe. So when you do put your foot inside, pull the laces tight, it pulls on those cables, and they do a really good job of keeping your foot locked in place and just giving you a good responsive sensation overall. So again, the upper is a lot more flexible in comparison to the first variation of the Phantom 2, but you still maintain a good amount of that responsiveness. It's not really a major change in my opinion. This is definitely the better variation of the Phantom 2, which is probably why Nike made this switch in the first place. As far as the lacing system is concerned, you can see it's pushed ever so slightly to the lateral side, so it is kind of off-centered. The tongue isn't really a tongue, it's just filled in with an elasticated flyknit that extends into the collar area. Being that this is the Phantom 2, it does have a mid-cut dynamic fit collar, which, just like all the other mid-cut models from Nike, there's no performance advantage to that. It looks a little bit different. It changes the fit in the heel, something we'll talk about that I already talked about actually in this video. And again, it's more of a, I don't want to call it a gimmick, but it's something that doesn't offer any performance advantage. There's no restrictiveness here. There's no ankle support from this extension piece. It's basically just an extra bit of material that wraps your ankle that happens to be attached to the rest of the shoe. So again, no performance advantage, but if you want to pay a little bit of extra money for the Phantom 2 over the finish to have the collar, by all means do it. There's nothing wrong with that at all. So the collar, it's elasticated flyknit, feels nice on your ankle. You'll notice it the first time that you wear the shoe, but after that you get used to it pretty quickly and it's not really in the way. There is an internal plastic heel counter. The heel liner is a smooth synthetic leather with a decent amount of padding back there. The break-in process, as I mentioned at the start, you're gonna have to take your time with in order to avoid any kind of major discomfort with the shoe, but like I said, all of that can be avoided. Insole fully removable, it's a mesh liner on top, and it's made from a single layer of this ortholite foam, which is actually a really nice insole. Nothing too fancy, but it does get the job done. And then moving on to the bottom of the shoe, you are going to find that the sole plate is made from a combination of nylon a compressed nylon for the main sole plate, and then P-backs for the actual stud plate on top. So it's got some rigidity to it, but it's not overly stiff by any means. It does get more flexible as you wear them in. And then of course with the stud pattern, it's kind of what we got from the Mercurial line, the previous generation Mercurials, but with conical studs. So it's a fairly aggressive stud pattern as far as traction is concerned. You get plenty of grip when pushing off in pretty much any direction, but because the majority of the studs are rounded in shape, they allow you to have that freedom to kind of twist and pivot when your foot is planted. So this is kind of a hybrid of what you would get from the Mercurials and say the Tiempo line is kind of a middle ground, if you will. And on firm natural grass, which is what this is made for, the traction is very, very good. Very few people complain about the Hypervenom stud pattern, so you're unlikely to have any issues with it either. In terms of weight, the Phantom 2 is a relatively lightweight shoe, but for the sake of just seeing what the exact weight is, I'm gonna weigh this pair for you today in real time using this scale. Keep in mind that this is a brand new pair in a women's size 10.5 US, which is the equivalent of a men's size 9 US. We're going to throw them on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 7.75 ounces, the equivalent of 220 grams. So they're just under the 8 ounce mark, which, like I said, is relatively lightweight. If you do want the lighter variation of this particular platform, the finish is a little bit lighter just because there's less material having a low cut shoe versus a mid cut shoe, but the weight difference is fairly insignificant. So again, if you are trying to decide between the Phantom 2 and the finish variation, it really should come down to whether or not you want a mid cut or a low cut shoe. And again, one is not better than the other. As far as the colorway is concerned, these look really, really good. I think this is one of the better colorways of the Phantom 2, period. You have an all white upper with accent colors in the form of the bright orange Nike swoosh, which is technically a bright crimson. So if you guys are familiar with that shade of orange from Nike, that's what you have here on the front and back with the swoosh itself. You have your Hypervenom graphic there with the pinstripe and the crackle pattern in kind of like a royal blue. It's technically called racer blue, and the film itself for the actual pattern is kind of like a holographic finish. So it's not going to wear off, but it does have this kind of cool, almost pearl effect to it when it hits the light properly. So really, really nice. It's not reflective, but like I said, it does have this kind of shiny look to it, which you definitely can see on camera. And of course, that continues on to the medial side as well. The laces are royal blue. Same thing goes for the exposed flyknit across the tongue area and the collar. And then of course you have the bright crimson orange at the tip of the collar. And then of course when you stretch it out at the ankle as well as across the top of the foot, it does reveal some orange in the mid layer of the flyknit as well. And then moving on to the sole plate, it is a white base with the printed graphic there in royal blue to match the rest of the upper, which is a very, very cool look. Again, that pattern on the bottom will wear off over time, not going to impact the performance of the shoe, and you'll basically be left with a white sole plate, which I don't think has an impact on the look of the shoe all that much anyways. Bright crimson Nike swoosh right there on the bottom, and then the studs are a translucent Volt yellow color, which actually works quite well with the other colors on the shoe. So it's a pretty straightforward looking colorway. The combination of white, blue, and orange I think looks really, really good. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Do you like how these look? Why or why not? And with that being said, I'll leave you to my final thoughts. Alright guys, that is it for my review of the women's Nike Hypervenom Phantom 2 in the Spark Brilliance Olympic pack. If you guys are interested in more info, be sure to check out the review page on my website. You can either click the I in the corner or the first link down below in the description, and on that page you will find Buy It Now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these guys up below their normal $275 retail price. So again, if you're interested, go ahead and check it out. If you have any questions at all regarding this shoe, leave them down below in the comments and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked in the description as well. And other than that guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.